Okay, so how does Mars act in the 11th house? Actually, that's a very strong position for Mars, which promises financial gains because the 11th house here is one of the house of our socio-economic goals and aspirations. And usually, it's like we want to make lots of money, or we want to be in society to be respected. Look, it's 11th house is quite high above the horizon. It's quite visible house. It's basically this. If this is the horizon, the first, the seventh house. This is the 11th house is here, very close to the top house. So it's all about being noticed. It's all about making an impact on larger groups of people. It's all about society and having strong positions, leadership positions in society. And it's all about markets and gains. So we're going to go through all of that. It's actually quite a gainful position. That's why I'm saying that such people in the title can be, it's one of the combinations for making money because Mars is this drive we have, this vitality and energy, and that this thirst. Mars rules our thirst and hunger. And when you feel thirst and hunger, when Mars is in the 11th house, you feel thirst and hunger towards socio-economic gains and achievements. So to be a leader or a member or active participant of some group that is or organization that's gonna put you in contact with other business people or other people with similar interests like you. Such people are very active usually in some kind of 11th houses, all kind of group activities, social, political, business group activities, business clubs, sports clubs, and especially such people very proactively pursue to be part of groups and friendships that are quite competitive, might be business competitive of some sort, might be some organizations and groups that are connected to pursuing profit, connected to revolutionary ideas as well, because the 11th house rules the society, and Mars is a planet of change. Mars is a planet of innovation. So Mars is a planet of rebellion. So they might be become members of very progressive political organizations. Many politicians have Mars in the 11th house because they pursue those groups and participation, leadership position in groups quite forcefully. This is the energy of Mars, for example, Nelson Mandela, Fidel Castro have Mars in the 11th house, and they were part of rebel groups and organizations initially that wanted to instigate big social changes, political and social changes. Many presidents also have people in high positions in political and social organizations, because Mars is the leader. The sun is the biggest leader, of course, but Mars is like the like the captain. Mars is like the sergeant, or not the sergeant, what is that called, like the one after the king that leads the army of the king, basically. Forgot it, went out of my head, but it's gonna be someone who is who wants to lead big groups of people. So it's very leadership, proactive position to be involved very actively with groups. Such a person, when it becomes member of a group, they actively search to be members of group. Maybe when they're younger, it starts with actively searching to be member of this kind of elite clique of school children. Maybe they want to be with the goths, or maybe they want to be with to be the leader and to be the top position of the jocks, or whatever. In the States, they have those those school groups or whatever, or this cool group of people that are connected through music. But later in life, it becomes basically, there might be like a leader position in a AA group organization, or in a group organization, or in a business club, or in a gentleman's club, or in a political organization, or in an astrological lodge or community of some sort. They want to participate, and even if they don't go physically there, they might be doing this through the internet. They might be actively joining groups on the internet with like-minded interests and forums, and participating, being very dynamic force in such kind of social situations, groups, organizations. And usually when they put in their mind they want to be part of this organization or group or social circle, they get there. I know a friend Mars in the 11th house. She broke through, and Mars is especially strong in Scorpio, in Aries, in the fire signs, in Leo, in Sagittarius, in Capricorn, even in Pisces is strong. And she had Mars in Scorpio in the 11th sign from the ascendant. So she came from a very middle class family, and she broke into the high society, basically, of the richest people. She was very ambitious, very driven, and she had a tunnel vision. Mars is like that, like horse with blinkers, tunnel vision. When it has a goal, 11th house is goals. Especially you can achieve goals by belonging or joining groups or making friends in higher circles or whatever groups or whatever institutions you want to infiltrate and to be a member of, making almost forcefully and actively pursuing such friendships and relationships with such people, which actually can elevate your social status. So these people actively search to elevate their social status through the right acquaintances, through the right belonging of groups. Often they become a leader or a mover and a shaker in such a group. The more, depending on the sign and everything, it might be groups for earning or gains, or it might be political or ideological or spiritual groups of any sort. Usually they're more active, more dynamic. And the only thing they have to be careful, though, that there can be a lot of competitiveness with their friends. 11th house rules our friends as well. So they often also look to be leaders in their social circle of friends. They might be the ones that always organize the parties and the ones that say, okay, we're going here and there. And they also like to be part of a dynamic friendship group as well. They don't like friends that get together to watch movies only. They like to get with friends that maybe do kayaking, some sports, or that go fast lane life, and that are competitive, and that are, that do things together, that are active. Maybe they'll be also drawn to such people that are very Martial, because the 11th house shows what kind of friends we have. And they might be very business competitive. They might be very athletic or sports oriented. They might be very ambitious and driven and hungry for something, They might be very enthusiastic, excitable, energetic. And they might be, on the negative side, if Mars has quite a few difficult aspects, they can be very combustible friendships. They might be fighting much more with their friends. Again, this friend of mine comes who has Mars in the 11th sign. She would fight from very young with her friend and break up every summer and not speak to her, and then get back together as friends when they start at school. And then even in her 30s, when she would have a fight with a friend, she would forbid all the other friends to speak with that friend. She would say, because she kind of was like the leader in the friendship group, and she said, and she would always fight with some of the friends, and then the other ones would be forbidden to, to communicate with that. You don't have to be like that, don't worry. She has a very powerful Mars in Scorpio. Scorpio is kind of unforgiving, but it's kind of, there might be more tensions, more arguments that happen around social situations. But at the same time, this is the most negative manifestation of Mars, competitiveness. You might be very competitive with your friends as well. This is what I used to see to her, especially friends that were more sexually alluring than her. Because Mars sexual, they would get like enmity and fight for dominance in the social group. So there can be some competitiveness there. That's the lower manifestation. The higher manifestation is just being very dynamic, very proactive, force themselves in social environment. Maybe, for example, liking to organize parties, social get-together, liking to be thirsting for public and social activities of any sort. It might be concerts, it might be conferences, and to take leadership positions there. It might be, it might be just going on holidays with friends or whatever, but they are the initiators, and often they're the ones that initiate a lot of social contacts, or network contacts, business contacts, because the 11th house rules all kind of even colleague relationships, your social environment. They initiate such relationships, which often become and they can be quite forceful sometimes. They can almost like force their presence on those people. How they make a friendship can come across quite forceful as well. But they impose themselves on you, and they're there, and you can't kick them out. And they're excitable as friends as well in the social circle, and their friends are also quite exciting as well. But usually those acquaintances and networks and business connections, they're very proactive in making them. That's why if you want someone, for example, to be your PR, to carve out new networks for you, to carve out new business networks for you, or new business markets for you as well, because Mars is this sharp planet. It can carve out like a knife. Find someone with Mars in the 11th that actively pursue large groups, join you to large groups, make you famous, or if you have Mars in the 11th house, you can be like this organizer of events, of political rallies, of big group activities. You can be someone that energizes and excites people to get together, or someone that just behind the cause, or behind the brand, or behind the name. You can use it in business or in ideologies and anything you want, because they have the ability to, Mars is a very enthusiastic planet, to rally together, to excite and to find new innovative ways, because Mars is about newness, something new, to break old molds, old patterns, in how to carve out new business niches, new business markets. 11th house is connected to large interconnected systems. That's why it rules all economic business systems and business markets of any sort, because it rules systems that are connected with no central power, but like the stock markets is the 11th house, because there is no central power in the stock markets. They're interconnected. The economy, so social economy, financial economy is also 11th house. Business networking is the 11th house. The internet is 11th house. The 11th house is, imagine someone having lots of acquaintances and being very well connected in society. Politicians also like that. They become usually good politicians as well. And everyone coming to them because they have so many connections. 11th house is connecting others, and everyone coming to them. And that's why they become very gainful, because they personally look and carve out those connections with others, whether it's in the local circle, on a more global level. For every person is different. They carve out those connections. They go after them. They pursue them. They're very active. And when you're so well connected, business ideas come to you. Ideas for gains and earning. 11th house is the house of gains. Why is it such a financial house, the 11th house? Because the more connections you have, the more you can basically see opportunities, social opportunities. You can see the trends, the social trends where society is going, and you can act on them. And with Mars there, those people like hound. Mars is a predatory energy. They sniff out, they very well, like almost instinctual understanding of what are the trends in society, of how to connect. Someone has a business, someone has a product, they can feel like, oh, okay, connection there, and to make gains out of them. So they can make very beneficial, of course, a bit forceful, they always do it. They might not be so palatable and pleasant to others when it comes to social interactions, because they do it, maybe if they're just more excitable than forceful, it works better and excites the others to participate in that. But they usually carve out those business connections, those networks, those just acquaintances. Even if they're not business people, they'll be at school, and they'll be ones that organize parties, or that organize that they're in the center and very active of some large fandom or community of some sort, and people go to them, and they usually find themselves pushing for new activities with those large groups of people. And sooner or later, these people become very gainful. And even if they work for a company, they'll be very ambitious in gains. They'll be like asking for bonuses. They'll be going the extra mile and putting personal efforts, because Mars is about using your willpower and energy and will force to pursue whatever house Mars is in. The 11th house is financial gains, economic gains, beneficial networking, beneficial social connections. So these people are climbers. They will fulfill their goals. The 11th house also rules one's goals and dreams, and they put so much energy in that sooner or later they succeed. It's a very good position, especially in fire signs, or in Capricorn, in Scorpio, very strong positions. Just they should remember there might be fights and power struggles within a group. That's the Mars nature. That's their nature. It's not, don't blame it on Mars. They're kind of too forceful in such situations, and not everyone might like it. And they like to establish their dominance in a group. and that can take some power struggles there. But sooner or later, they reach their socio-economical gains. They usually become quite gainful financially and materially. And the 11th house tends to give its results better later in life, in one's 30s, mid 30s, 40s, 50s, because the 11th house is called in ancient astrology Upachaya house, which means improving with age, because it shows the results it shows the results of your efforts. It requires efforts, just like the 6th house, the 11th, and the 10th. Those three houses are known as, 3rd, 6th, 11th, and 10th, but we're talking about the 11th. They improve with age there. So the gains of a person with Mars in the 11th house tends to improve with age. Usually they'll pursue business opportunities or gainful connections from very young on, but they'll see the full results later, the older they get with that. So if you have this position, know that you have great potential through all those activities that I mentioned to create more than average, way above average gains in your life. Often they'll go and ask for bonuses, or they're even better to be in their own business, or if they can be very good in some environment where they have to be very competitive and push through in creating connections. So maybe people nowadays, it's with social media and marketing that they might be amazing at that. Oprah Winfrey has Mars in the 11th house, by the way, guys, and she is forging and creating. She's very likable, by the way. So she's forging and creating all those networks, all those relationships, and with organizations, with groups, with people. This is where she puts her force in those 11th house, but she has a big fandom. People with Mars in the 11th often can have a strong, big following. And they're a leader of some sort in a social situation. They're a shaker and a mover. Mars is a planet of energizing, shaking, and moving in social environment. And I think she might go into politics one day as well. Or at least she's already fulfilled that Mars in the 11th house. And she's created lots of gains for herself through those connections. But, she can be basically she's very ambitious in social networks, but she's also a great influencer, because 11th house is the house of people that have influence over others. And she does it in a passionate way, Mars way. She does it in a direct way, and a strong fandom, again, as I said. Let me see what other things I have. Fighting for a social cause. Obviously, even Oprah is fighting for many social causes, but such people, Mars is where we fight. 11th house is our social causes as well. Fighting on behalf of group, or representing some minority or group, or whatever it is. These people can be, or say, for example, you're a lawyer and you're asking me, where should I be fighting for? Should they be a family lawyer, or should they be some other lawyer? And if I see that you have Mars, because Mars is this fighting power in the 11th house, I'll say, go and fight for certain causes. Might be environmental, depending on the sign, or for the interest of some large group organization, or kind of a political idea, social class, some sort, and they might be joining rebellious movements, participation in movements, political groups. Again, as I said, very political position. Produces material gains. That we talked about that. Energizes goals, achieving behaviors. Yes, they're very driven. Definitely. The 11th house is goals. And by the way, it's an interesting story, because currently I'm having Mars transit my 11th house. This is just temporary. I'm not born with Mars in the 11th house, but I got to feel for a month and a half how people with Mars in the 11th house feel all the time. And it's quite, it makes you feel restless, because like you can't just sit and rest. Something golds you and pushes you to feel thirsty, to make more gains, and to make your business reach to more people and to connect to more people. And I definitely came up exactly on the day Mars entered by transit my 11th house, because I was like, I came up with this idea, because Mars is very, I was sitting restlessly, and I was like, I want all of a sudden this desire to sell a bit more and to make a bit more gains, and because the profits of the website was slowing down, and 2 or 3 ideas came in a row. And that same day I wrote a few posts on social media, again, connecting, using the drive of Mars, the ambition of drive through the 11th house, connecting through others, being using my influence, so to speak, over others, and promoting and reducing the price of a few courses, promoting a couple of readers, and for the next couple of weeks, the whole business made 3 times more gains than normal. So you kind of, such people that are born with Mars in the 11th, they always have this strong initiative. Just a second, my battery is going down. Have this strong initiative and new ideas when it comes to, and drive to act and to make something happen. And sometimes those activities are not going to always work out. They're not going to be productive, but they don't stop, because Mars is restless. Mars is like, oh, this idea didn't work, this promotion didn't work, this business idea didn't work, this gainful idea didn't work. So this one of them will work, and sooner or later their gains will grow, and they can happen very suddenly, have a breakthrough financially and in gains, and very sharply, because Mars is this energy of, of that can be surprising and intense all of a sudden. So what I'm trying to say, that just even by transit Mars in the 11th house increase the gains and increase my personal initiative, and they're not given things. Those people, if you have Venus in the 11th house, gains can come to you somehow easy, and they fall in your lap, and or Jupiter or whatever. But with Mars in the 11th house, these things, you have to work for them. You have to put initiative, and something is constantly goading you, eating you inside. The next idea, the next action, what should they do? So they try many things, and again something works, and bam, it brings lots of gains. So not necessarily easy. Personal willpower, putting personal willpower in that, but through their willpower, these people will achieve wealth, will achieve their goals, but only by personally getting involved and putting efforts in that, and putting energy in that. The 11th house in Vedic astrology is considered the house of all the siblings. I haven't checked it much, but basically, if you have all the siblings, and if you have Mars in the 11th house, it's likely that this older sibling will be more energetic. There might be more competition, more drive with all the siblings. There might be more clashes as well. And just like it's also friendship groups, all those things apply for that. Or the older sibling can be a sports person or some kind of a business entrepreneur, because Mars is about entrepreneurs, like people that start things on their own, that are independent, that start new things, that do breakthroughs. Or it might be just someone who is that fights a lot. with you. It can play out in different levels depending on the aspects and the specific horoscope of the person. And of course, such people, when they're part of a group or when they're part of social media or whatever, they'll be often, as I said, the initiator, the leader, but they also will bring new trends to those groups. They will bring new trends, new ideas, if they're in business, they would often have a lot of new business ideas, such people. A lot of basically a lot of breakthroughs, because Mars is innovation and breakthrough and carving out new business networks. So if you want someone to carve out new business networks for you, again, look for a person with Mars in the 11th. Or if you want personal success and you're like, say you have Mars in the 11th and I'm always keen to what should I do? Well, all those things that I mentioned will be successful for you. You just have to find out which is the right one for you that you do. Create networks and go after business, or become members of groups, go after your goals, business goals and economic goals, so the right connections, the right approach. If you want benefactors, approach more Mars-like benefactors. 11th house rules that as well, which means either more youthful or more driven or more ambitious, or in sports, or more masculine male business benefactors of some sort. Business contacts as well that are more male focused, and you will you have the upper hand in competitive group organizations or in competitive group environments or business environments of any sort. And as I said, the 11th house rules the internet, the markets, the stock markets, the economy, um, so all of those things. So thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you soon with Mars in the 12th house. And do check out, if you want to learn astrology with me, check out all the courses that I offer at astrolada.com, much more in depth, starting from beginners and onwards and onwards. You can email me if you want to know which course is best to start with, and if you like my way of teaching. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.